Hi everyone, and welcome back to Integration Astrology. And today we're looking at another transit video. We're looking at the transit today of Venus through Aquarius. And by the time you see this video, Venus has already entered Aquarius, but will be there for some weeks. So let's take a look at what this energy will mean for you. So all you need to do is find which house or houses Aquarius is in on your chart, and then go down to the timestamps and listen to the houses relevant to you. And what I'll do is I will pick two cards, one to represent the inner Venus, which is all to do with our self-love and what we value and what we see in ourselves, and then another card for the outer Venus. So the outer Venus is to do with our relationships and our love in relationships. So we'll take a look at those and we'll use some tarot along with the astrology. So I'll see you down in the timestamps. Okay, so we're looking at Venus transiting through Aquarius in the first house. And for me, this is also where it will be for me as well. So let's see what the cards have to say. And Venus will be crossing my ascendant on the 5th of February. So I'm interested to see what sort of energy this will bring for me as well. So Venus in Aquarius and in the first house might mean looking at value of what you value in a different way, or having an objective view of your values, perhaps liberating and setting free some of the things that you've valued in the past that no longer serve you. It could also be about really perhaps even valuing different sets of things that might suit who you're becoming a little bit more, because this is a big Aquarian year. And in terms of relationships, it could be really feeling a little bit perhaps even like alienated from those relationships because of who you are or who you're becoming. So let's take a look at the cards. And we have, first of all, the World in reverse and the Five of Swords. So the World in reverse is going to be representative of the inner Venus, and the Five of Swords, the outer Venus. So let's start with that inner Venus. Seems to be saying here that something has not come to a completion. So although there's a lot of this energy in terms of changing and who you're becoming right now, there's something incomplete there. There's something that you haven't seen through to the end, or something that you feel you're not ready to let go of yet. So during February, as Venus is transiting your first house, there is a part of your identity that perhaps you're not ready to let go of, even though perhaps you need to, because it aligns better with who you're becoming and what you truly value. So you really want to take a look at what you value and what you are, who you think you're becoming, and how those two things align, and perhaps be more ready to leave behind a part of your identity, even if you feel like you haven't really seen that through to the end. Like there's a part of you that you feel you need to still hold on to in some way. But to really have the world, to have yourself really emerge into who you're becoming, to be whole and complete, there is something that you do need to let go of. If we take a look at the outer Venus, the Five of Swords, this indicates conflict, basically. Like it's quite sort of clear, sort of a conflict at any cost, like a conflict that you want to win, be right, be in charge of. So in terms of how you might be representing yourself with others, a significant other, in friendships, or whatever else it might be, it's asking you just to pause and see, okay, what do you really want to get out of every interaction and confrontation that you do have in this time? Does it really need to be a battle? Do you need to be right? Could you possibly leave it behind? Or, I mean, it could also be saying, like, do you actually need to stand up for yourself? Do you need to be in some battles if usually you are not? Do you actually need to defend yourself? Do you need to be more aware and discerning and perhaps even on the offensive a little bit if this is going to preserve the you that you are emerging into? So you might need more fight if usually you do not, or you might need less of it if you find yourself really just wanting to fight and push people away, because you sort of have this energy that you're used to, especially with the first house Aquarius, of being on your own, being independent, being a little bit isolated and on the edge. But are you doing that out of habit, or is it something that you really want? So Venus transiting through the Aquarius in the second house. So let's take a look at this first card representing the inner Venus. And we have the Devil. And to represent the outer Venus, we have the Five of Wands. So with the Devil, in terms of your inner Venus, the Devil really indicates some sort of addiction, some sort of hold. And it might be, I mean, this is in your second house, so what sort of inner values or what sort of things could you be holding on to that you need to look at? What do you have a relationship with that is second house? It can be you're addicted to some second house things, like you're overly attached to making money right now, or you are overly attached to things to do with comforts of the second house, which can be like indulging a little bit too much in food or whatever it is that comforts you. You might be too addicted to comfort, or you might be holding on to that too much, and it's not allowing the Aquarian energy that you have to, like with everything going through Aquarius, to allow you to sort of liberate this attachment to money, this attachment to comfort. You're not able to sort of level up your reality because you are sticking a little bit too much to these things. You might be addicted to things like safety making, or it can be a house of a lot of OCD sort of tendencies, and that you stick to them to try and keep yourself safe in some way. But these things can end up also causing you more trauma than good. And so this is indicating that you want to have a look at anything that you are addicted to in these areas and look at letting those go, because the Devil is indicating that something about what you are valuing or what you are putting your focus on in terms of your values is really keeping you back from the positive side of Aquarian energy. And in terms of the outer Venus and relationships, looking at the Five of Wands, indicates a lot of competition, competitiveness, feeling like all your interactions are about competition rather than about getting closer and true connection and being able to sort of work together in a team. I mean, Aquarius is very much this sort of good, strong collaboration towards a common goal, but with each bringing their unique gifts and talents to the party, if you like. But here, when we have the Five of Wands, it's indicating that you don't feel like that at all. You don't feel like you're collaborating towards a common goal. You feel like you are competing. That might be in your work and the way you're making money. You might feel like there's not enough to go around and you have to compete to keep your place, or other people are sort of coming in, muscling in and taking something from you. Perhaps there's a fear of a lack of abundance, and perhaps just in your relationships in general, rather than looking towards the sort of higher purpose, you might be a little bit more focused on feeling like your relationships are grounds for competition and proving yourself, rather than focusing on becoming closer. So those are some things to consider during the Venus transit through Aquarius. Venus transiting through the third house of Aquarius, and we have here representing the inner Venus, the Seven of Cups, and the outer Venus, the Initiate of Cups. So with the third house, we're looking at the way that you sort of put your mental energies towards constructing your reality and the life that you want, in your own way. And also that's to do with what you talk about, what you think about, what you learn about, all of those things, where you put all your mental energy in that way, and then what sort of life that leads to, and weaving together a particular type of life. So when we're looking at this Venus as representative of your inner values, it's indicating here that perhaps as Venus transits through, you start to think about all your options. Perhaps it's all your options of things to learn and things to focus on, and you're having trouble choosing. You have a lot of opportunity coming your way in terms of what sort of mental focus and mental activities you can do, but you're not sure what to choose. So to be able to make a choice, you need to really be aligned with your values to make sure that you choose what best serves you. So yeah, I'll be interested to hear sort of what sort of choices in third house areas come up for you with Venus transiting through your third house. Here we have the Queen of Cups, and this is representative of the outer Venus. And so in the third house areas, especially I suppose in terms of communication, perhaps this is to indicate that the way of communication might be more heartfelt, and that Venus will inspire that in you, or if not, that you might want to put more of an emphasis on having communication with others that is more coming from the heart, that comes from a sense of having good empathy, seeing others the way that you hope that they will see you, really having some presence, a loving presence. So you might want to bring this Queen of Cups energy into the way that you communicate with those closest to you, or anyone, especially if there's new people coming in. You want to have an open heart and a centered heart in basically these communications that you'll be having with others. So I hope that's helpful for you, third house Aquarius. Venus transiting through the fourth house in Aquarius. Let's take a look at this first card representative of the inner Venus. And we have the Wheel of Fortune upright, and the outer Venus we have the Two of Cups. So the fourth house is very much about your emotional world and your emotional life and your emotional sense of well-being, as well as being about family and home and nurturing and the feminine and these sorts of things. So the inner Venus with the Wheel of Fortune card indicates that, and it's, as a fourth house Aquarius person, I suppose you're kind of used to a lot of change in this area, but it is really indicating changes coming in, or changes needing to come in around fourth house issues. So it might be the way that you are, like you sort of feel connected and safe and secure in your emotional life needs a change or is changing, that you might end up having a feeling of a lot of changing emotions at this time, and they are trying to communicate something with you. It could be changes in family situations as well, and a need to align your values and your sense of self-worth with a home life and a family life that really resonates with your inner Venus. If we take a look at the Two of Cups in reverse for your outer Venus, then this is to do with perhaps your family relationships or just your relationships with the people who share a home with you. And there seems to be indicating that something is out of balance in these relationships, so that there's not really the give and take and equal give and take and reciprocity and what you really want for healthy relationships. So perhaps the two are coming together in terms of the Wheel of Fortune and the Two of Cups in your relationships, in your home life. Some sort of changes are leading to a bit of an imbalance. Now perhaps you need things to be a little bit out of balance to come back to yourself and restore what's important to you, or you just need to be aware that things are out of balance and you need to address that and find a way to bring more of what you need to your relationships by asking for what you need or whatever that might be. Or perhaps it could be even that you need to be like thinking about how others have needs too, and that you need to be addressing those. But these can be some current themes that you'll experience during this transit. Venus transiting through Aquarius in the 5th house. Let's take a look at this first card representing the inner Venus. And we have the High Priestess. And the outer Venus, we have the 6 of Swords in reverse. So the 5th house is your house of creativity, self-expression, romance, joy, fun, being childlike, and all of these sorts of things. And Aquarius usually would indicate you like all of those things in more unusual and unique ways, or that these things can be a source of liberation for you and freedom, or they can be a source of pain and trauma as well, because there's both sides to the Aquarius energy. So the inner Venus, as represented by the High Priestess in reverse, it seems that you are lacking some intuition, or that you need to develop better intuition around what you value or what is your true expression of yourself. So perhaps you are getting clues and signs and symbols from the universe trying to show you and guide you in a new way, especially during this time of Aquarian energy, but you're missing them. You're not tuned into them. You're not tuned into your intuition. So you need to perhaps take a step back, tune in, find a way to come to your own center and feel how different decisions and different things that you're doing are really, whether they're coming from your intuition, which can also mean, like, if you're meeting people, if you're dating, if you are pursuing a new art project, if you are trying something new, then you want to think about, okay, but is this really the reflection of my true self? And tune into your feelings to get a sense of your intuition around that. In terms of the outer Venus and looking at the 6 of Swords in reverse, There might be a romance that you need to move on from, that you need to leave behind, and you're not, that you're a bit stuck. You haven't, you know, like you're there in the house that's on fire, as you can see in the image, and you're not ready to get in the boat and leave it all behind and start again. Or there's a project, a creative project that you're working on that it's just not working out, but you're not letting it go. So it's your relationship with something external to yourself, in these fifth house themes of romance and creativity and self-expression and fun and joy, something you're holding on to that you have an external relationship with, but it's not serving you, and you need to look at getting in that boat and leaving it behind and trusting that there will be something better for you on the horizon. Venus transiting through Aquarius in the sixth house. Let's take a look here. So representing your inner Venus is the Ace of Cups upright, and your outer Venus is the Two of Wands. So the sixth house is about how you feel about yourself, about your worthiness, and how good, if you're good enough. It's also representative of your work, your daily habits, your health, the way that you are kind of grounded in this 3D reality. It can be to do with your inner critic and those sorts of things. So, and with Aquarius, all of these things can be either quite traumatic, or when you're aligned, they can be really liberating and pushing you forward into your future. So if we take a look at the Ace of Cups as representative of your inner Venus, it seems to represent that your inner Venus has a lot of emotion that needs to be released. So you have emotion that needs to be released, and you need to just let those emotions flow with regards to perhaps this feeling of unworthiness, this feeling of not being good enough. Perhaps you don't feel your work is good enough. Perhaps there's something about your everyday life that you feel undeserving of. Or it's just this overall feeling that the way that you feel about yourself is really causing you some trauma, and to be able to access the next level of that reality, first of all, a larger emotional release needs to happen. In terms of looking at your outer Venus and perhaps your relationships with colleagues, or your relationship, probably it is your relationship with people at work, mainly being the sixth house, or just anyone that you collaborate with on some sort of work projects, then you need to make a choice on which way to go. That's what the Two of Wands is indicating. So it's time to make a choice, and perhaps it's choosing between two workplaces, and that's coming up for you. It might be choosing who to work with if you're thinking about some upcoming projects, or it might be thinking about a promotion at work and which way to go with that. If it's something else, like something to do with your health or habits, it's also making a choice about those and which one of those aligns more with your values as well. So there is something about making a choice in your outer relationships, but relationships to do with work and health and habits and that sort of thing. And it's time to make a choice of which way to go. It's best if you can really, of course, be aligned with that decision, and come from a heart-centered space. Venus transiting through Aquarius in the seventh house. So having a look at the card representing your inner Venus, we have the Six of Wands. And the card representing your outer Venus is the Four of Cups. So the seventh house is really the house of relationships, communication in relationships, balanced relationships, having your needs met, how you relate to yourself, how you relate to others, how you understand who you are in the mirror of being around and with somebody else. So with this with this Six of Wands as your inner Venus, so this is really your relationship with yourself then. I mean, this is a good sign. It's representing some sort of victory. So perhaps you've been through quite a challenging time in terms of being there in relationships, watching things mirrored back to you, and then trying to understand yourself and how you feel about yourself. And potentially in the past, this hasn't been going so well, but you're starting to really value yourself, value your needs, and stand up for yourself and ask for what you need and be really aligned with yourself first, which is fantastic news. And if you haven't been doing that, then this is a sign that this is what you want to start doing. With your outer Venus, so actually it seems a little bit perhaps contradictory as well, but in terms of looking at your relationships and the way that your relationships are going, as you can see in this card, she has these small little mugs, and one she's holding on to a tiny sort of chalice there, but there hovering near the tree is really the most beautiful golden chalice studded with some sort of gemstones, etc. So what you are seeing in your relationships is what's missing. You're not really seeing the treasures that are there, and it's asking you to have a better look. So yes, you might be, doing all this victorious work of like really standing up for yourself and really being true to yourself. That's fantastic, and that is definitely needed. But at the same time, you need to look at, are you being objective about your relationship? That's something very Aquarius. Or are you seeing the way in which your relationship is isolating you or causing some sort of pain? But are you really seeing the other person as they are, or are you seeing through this prism of the Four of Cups of what's missing rather than what treasures there are? So if you are thinking about your partner, your significant other, or perhaps someone you're quite close to that you're just interacting with a lot, perhaps you're not seeing the full picture. You're seeing what's missing, but you're not acknowledging the treasure that is there. Venus transiting through Aquarius in the 8th house. And let's take a look at this first card representing your inner Venus. And we have the Ace of Wands in reverse. And your outer Venus, we have the 10 of Cups. So the 8th house is about transformation and change and all the things that come along with that, like death, marriage, taxes, other people's money, inheritances, of course, and all those things, as well as the deep change that comes with merging with magic and the occult and your own psychology, and all of these sorts of things. It's about desire and passion as well. And I really think that's perhaps what we're talking about here with the inner Venus, that with this Ace of Wands in reverse, there is a lack of passion. You're just feeling sort of bored. Perhaps nothing is changing and you're desiring some change, because with an Aquarius 8th house, you like the surprise of change. You like to be surprised. You can go with that. Possibly, or you feel, perhaps you're not someone who's so traumatized by change. You're able to take it as being a little bit more exciting, but there isn't enough change happening for you, and you're feeling a lack of passion, a lack of love for your life, and a lack of depth, everything seems a little bit surface level. There's nothing to get your teeth into. So if that's how you are feeling, then you need to acknowledge that and turn that around, and use this time with Venus transiting through your 8th house, which can be a powerful time to try and re-engage and sort of grab onto some new adventures, some new explorations, some new projects, whatever it is that ignites your passion, ignites your desire, and also allows for change of any kind. So especially you might like to try something new in the occult. If you're listening to a tarot and astrology channel, it's likely that these are things that very much appeal to you. So perhaps there's something that you can tap into there. Or if the quality of your relationships are just a bit dull, take this opportunity to put something new into those. However, talking about relationships as your outer Venus, the 10 of Cups really seems to indicate that this can be just a fantastic time for having everything that you might wish for. It's the 10 of Cups is the united and happy family, the blissful family, the family that wants to share its joys together, feels really great together. It's the perfect image of love and family and sharing those things. So that's great news. I mean, if that's what's coming in for you, then that's fantastic. So perhaps the quality of your relationships is actually really deepening. Perhaps your life feels a little bit, boring and lacking in passion, but your relationships and what you can experience in your outer relationships is really moving towards this 10 of Cups. And that's probably because the depth of connection, your ability to be vulnerable, your ability to sort of let your emotional self show is welcomed. And this is creating this 10 of Cups situation. Venus transiting through Aquarius in the 9th house. So the card representing your inner Venus, we have the Knight of Cups, and your outer Venus, we have the Page of Cups. Okay, interesting. So your 9th house is about your beliefs and your truth, and things that sort of inspire you thinking about your beliefs and your truth might be other cultures, other religions, some travel, some higher learning, some philosophy, any of these sorts of things. But the 9th house is a place where you really don't want to be bored. You want to feel inspired, and you want to create a real meaningful life for yourself. And with Aquarius there, it's something that you want to probably do in ways that are a little bit unusual, a little bit different to the norm. You have your own unique way of making your own meaning. So with Venus, inner Venus represented by the Knight of Cups, perhaps this is a good sign that you are really being able to sort of offer yourself and bring to yourself some stronger love, some stronger acceptance, some stronger connection with your emotions, which is enabling you to in turn create this more meaningful life. Or if you haven't been able to, it's time to think about how can you do that? How can you bring a more solid and consistent offering of self-love into your life so that you can access this more meaningful existence. In terms of your outer relationships, represented by the Page of Cups, the Page of Cups is new love, new creativity. But if we're talking about it as being representative of your relationships, it's possible that this is representing new relationships and relationships that offer you feelings of meaningfulness, feelings of engagement, feelings of adventure and the new and exploration. So it could actually be representative of a new love coming in for you, and a love that really aligns with your philosophies, your beliefs, your truth. So I think this is a fantastic sign. So I'd love to hear from anyone with a 9th house Aquarius to let me know what does happen for you through February and the Venus transit. Venus transiting through Aquarius in the 10th house. So the card representing your inner Venus is the 5 of Cups upright, and the card representing your outer Venus is the 5 of Pentacles in reverse. So the 10th house is all about your adult life, your life out in the world, your achievements, your career, of course, but also the way that your life is structured, the amount of sort of rules and regulations you have versus having less than that, and these sorts of things. So when we're talking about your inner Venus, you're feeling a lot of loss at this time, and this needs to be grieved. So the 5 of Cups comes to tell you, like you have lost something. Now perhaps you have lost something important to you in your adult life, a relationship that has been important to you, or you have lost your job. And it's not something to just get over without grieving. Venus is coming in to tell you, okay, like it's time to grieve and release these emotions before moving forward. So there is something you need to grieve, and this card is really giving you the permission to do so if you feel like you have to be someone who is stoic and keeps it all together and you're supposed to be a grown-up about it. It doesn't matter what it is, but something that you have lost, this is saying grieve that loss. The 5 of Pentacles in reverse also says that perhaps you're looking around and you don't see any support for you out there. But the 5 of Pentacles in reverse is saying that there is help available. You're not alone. You can get the assistance and the help that you need to achieve your goals, career goals, personal goals, whatever they might be. That you can find, if you're thinking about a relationship, you can find a supportive relationship. You can find a relationship that makes you feel supported as well. So whatever it is in your external world that's happening, especially in 10th house things, you can find the support for those things. A supportive person, you can find support in getting the career that you want. You can find support in creating the life that you want and achieving your goals. Venus transiting through Aquarius in the 11th house. So the card representing your inner Venus is the 4 of Pentacles in reverse. And for your outer Venus, it's the 3 of Cups. So the 11th house is all about sort of your dreams and aspirations, as well as your friendships and the people you associate with. It's about what you want to contribute. It's about understanding your unique contribution, and that what you have to contribute matters as well. So when we're thinking about our inner Venus and our relationship with ourselves, and we're thinking about the 4 of Pentacles in reverse for the 11th house Aquarius, the 4 of Pentacles in reverse is saying it's time to let go of something that you've been holding on to And perhaps it is something material, so it could be a friendship, it could be a dream that actually you do need to release because it isn't really helping your relationship with yourself. It could be something to do with a group that you belong to, or some people that you've associated with that you thought would help move you in the direction you want to go, but that's not happening. And so there's something you need to let go of that you're holding on to, and that is really preventing or affecting your ability to have a good relationship with yourself. But when it comes to relationships with other people, with the Three of Cups, it does look like that actually there's a lot of opportunity this month for really enjoying your friendships. So that's a fantastic thing from the Venus transit. A time to enjoy your friendships. And, you know, you look at this card, and for some of us, it's been a long time since we could sit around with other people and really celebrate. So there might be a lot of celebration coming for you, a lot of joining with friends in a celebratory way, or celebrating a dream coming true, or whatever it might be. There's something in your external world that you have a relationship with that you'll have an opportunity to celebrate and really, really enjoy. Venus transiting through Aquarius in the 12th house. For your inner Venus, we have the King of Cups upright. And for your outer Venus, we have the Strength card in reverse. So the 12th house is really about your spiritual connection and your connection to something greater than yourself. It can be about what you hide, how you hide away, how you try to live in a fantasy world rather than living here on earth. Or so of course that's more on the negative side of things. It's often known as the house of self-undoing in that way, so the ways that you perhaps self-sabotage. And I think that's what we're talking about here with this first card, to do with your inner Venus and how you relate to yourself. It's saying that it's time to really be the King of Cups for yourself. It's time to be really centered in your emotions with high emotional intelligence, and if you have a high emotional intelligence, you don't self-sabotage because you know exactly what you're doing and the way that you are hurting yourself by engaging in addictive behaviors or whatever it might be that sabotages you. So it's a time to really develop your relationship with yourself as a King of Cups, as somebody who is very emotionally mature, emotionally centered, and has a lot of love to give because they are so centered in their own emotions. We talk about your outer Venus and perhaps your relationship with external things outside yourself, particularly perhaps to do with relationships that make you feel really connected, this sense of feeling like you are an important piece of the whole, about feeling like this oneness and that sort of thing. Then the Strength card in reverse seems to indicate that you need to have a little bit more courage. What that might be, you might need to be more courageous in allowing yourself to feel the oneness, especially like if it's with those that you share spiritual or religious beliefs with, or perhaps you just feel very alone and you need some courage to find your soul tribe and people that you can really connect with and feel one with. And there's some sort of courage and inner strength that you need to bring forward so that you can have a more spiritually grounded experience at this time, so that you can connect with something higher than yourself, so that you can see a higher perspective and draw yourself away from just the everyday life things that are happening and move more towards this like Aquarian way of having spirituality, which is, yes, you can do it alone. Yes, you can completely do it as an individual, but it's always better when you've done it in a collaborative way, when you've joined with your soul tribe, when you've met people who are on your way of thinking about things, where you've let yourself expand your horizons. You don't have to be an alien on your own. You can be an alien amongst other aliens. In terms of spirituality, it's a time to have the courage to go exploring, be brave, find the inner strength that you need to take this new step forward in your spiritual life. Thanks so much for joining me for this most recent transit video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share with your friends if you think they'll enjoy witnessing and tuning into the transits as they happen, with a little bit of guidance from some tarot mixed in with some astrology. So please feel free to leave a comment, record your own observations of how you've experienced this transit, how you are experiencing this transit whenever you might watch it, and share with us all. Be really interesting to hear how it resonates. And I'll see you next time. Thanks so much.